Coming to you on May 5th, Monday, the day before this new catalog goes live. And I'm going to feature this Notes and Totes bundle. So the stamps and the dies. I did one other project a while back that was just a tote bag that got attached to a water bottle as like a cute little gift. And today I'm going to case a card from this catalog. I can't show the inside yet because I don't want to get in trouble because we can't open this up until May 6th. All right. So that's when this one goes live, is May 6th. So couple more hours and we'll be into the new catalog, which will be fun. So let me get to my picture that I can't show you so I can at least kind of follow along. I've tried to cut out all of the little pieces because there's a lot that goes on with this one. There's a lot of just the water bottle and the straw and the lotion and suntan screen or sunscreen and the handles and sunglasses and whatnot. So I cut a lot of those things out. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. We're going to do a little bit of stamping. So I'm going to start with these pieces. This is going to be a background, and I did not cut these the same size, but I don't think it's going to matter. So what I've done is just cut them to be basically the size of the front of the card because I want it to go from side to side. So let's go ahead and do our card bases. So these are the basic, or the thick basic white cardstock, and they're 8.5 by 5.5. So 8.5 by 5.5. And I scored them at 4 1/4. I always put the bump or the mound goes in the middle because that's how we've broken the fibers when we score it. And I like to pre-score mine. I don't trust myself just folding it and trying to get it straight. So I rely on using my trimmer to do that. I'm going to go ahead and attach these on here with some of our Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue, and I'm going to try to go fast. So if I'm talking fast, it's just because there's a lot of pieces and I don't want to take a long time. And I figure if you like what I'm doing, all you need to do is go back and watch the replay, or you might be able to pause it while we're live. I'm not even sure. You might be able to. Shift this just a little bit. There we go. That's the nice thing about the green glue is you can shift it a little bit if it's not quite on there. And this little piece here, I'll just trim later. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this too. But the reason, oh, I think I might like this side better. That's the same side. We'll do one of each, and we'll just kind of lay them out for one of them. I'm doing two because if you're going to do one card, you almost may as well do two, because as you're cutting things, it doesn't take that much longer because you're already kind of on a roll and you have all the supplies there. So a lot of times I will do two at one time. Now my goal had kind of been to get my sample all set, but that didn't happen because I started too late. All right, so this is the Thoughtful Journey 6x6 Designer Series paper that I have just cut down to 4 1/4 by 5.5 or 5 1/4. It doesn't really matter because we're going to cover this part up. And then I have some crumb cake cardstock, and I need to find my water spritzer, my little spritzer here. I'm going to spritz these with a little water away from my workspace because I'm going to crinkle them up. And the reason for crinkling them is so that we can get a little bit of the texture of what might be kind of like sandy. So this one I'm going to crinkle first and then stamp some texture on it. And when you use the spritzer and get them a little damp, it gives it kind of a suede texture as well. So it really softens up the paper. All right. So that worked pretty good. Now, the other thing is I forgot to get the little sand stamp out here. And I didn't get my crumb cake. So I'm going to go get that. Hold on. And we're going to do a little tone on tone for some sand. And I'm going to get my Pearson mat here just because it's a photopolymer. So I'm just going to randomly stamp some of these sand granules on here. And I'm not pushing real hard on my ink pad just because I don't need to. Some of this I may trim off because that's a pretty big sandbar. And this one we'll see how it turns out because I've already crinkled it. But it looks like it's doing pretty good. I wasn't sure if the dots would come on here very good. I should actually have a piece of scrap paper over this too so that I don't leave marks on it, but it's fine. All right, so we're done with that one. So let's move this back out of the way. And this is going to go on here. And this one will go here. So I'm definitely going to trim off at least 1/4 inch here because that's longer than I want it to be. I think I'll trim off a little bit more. That should be good enough. All right, so I'm going to crinkle this one too. So let's spritz this one. And obviously I'm going to do it away from anything that I'm working on. And we'll see if any of my dots smear. I've got some water on my hand. It might dilute some of that ink, I don't know. So sometimes it's hard to crinkle paper because the paper is so pretty. Yep, I'm going to have to restamp some of my sand because the water diluted it. So that's a good little lesson. So spritz your paper first, crinkle it, and then do your ink. So let's go back and do some of this again. And I didn't pull in my piercing mat just because it was easier to not reach for it. All right, I think that'll be good now. All right, so I'm gonna let this dry just a little bit, I think. And let's do a little bit of stamping on some of these other items. So we have a water bottle. We're going to do some embossing on that. We're going to do some embossing on this too. So maybe I should do that right now. So when I do embossing, there's a lot going on with this card. So I hope it turns out. I am using my embossing buddy, which is a little like canvas bag that's got cornstarch or powder in it. And what that does is it takes the static out of or off the paper so that when you use the embossing powder and Versamark, that the goal is to not have that powder go where you don't want it to go. So first let's do our sentiment. And I'm just going to open this up so I've got a nice flat surface. So this says relax and enjoy. And we're going to do that right there. And then I'm going to put some of my white embossing powder on it. And I'm just doing it right over my little bin. This might be a little subtle, but this is how the example showed it. So I'm trusting that it's going to work. So Stampin' Up! Does give us what we call recipes, where hopefully my head wasn't in there in your way. They give us recipes that kind of tell us what elements were used, not necessarily the sizes, but the elements. All right, so I'm just going to do the sentiment on one of these for right now. This one, I'm going to stamp some water on here. And that'll just be like almost like a branding symbol on there, I guess. And I may as well just do both of those because they're here. And I should have gotten my little tweezers from my embossing kit too. But that's all right. I think that's all I need to emboss. So let's go ahead and do that quick. I'll just use these tweezers. Sorry if it gets a little loud. I am also going to cover this up so that I don't shoot any heat into there. Hopefully it won't get too loud. Now I like to emboss from the bottom of my item just so that I can see the change. Can you see that hopefully? That one's done. And let me turn on another light. And hopefully you can watch this magic. If you've not seen embossing before, it's, I think, pretty slick. So you should be able to see it go from dull to shiny, okay? And then let's go ahead and do this one. Now this might not work from the back just because I have it on my cardstock already. It might take a little bit longer for it to heat up, but there it goes. Hopefully you can see that changing. We're at the and symbol. We're at the E. And all the way through. Now the idea is it needs to be nice and shiny for it to be fully set. If it's dull at all, let me say that again. If it's dull at all, that powder is going to brush right off of there. Okay, so that's done. This is done. I can get rid of my tweezers. Let's do a couple of other little things here. Now I have a couple of other pieces here that I made so that I could make the tops of these bottles a little different color. So I am just going to snip these off and glue them on so that I can have a contrasting color as the top of the water bottle. Now I'm not sure if this is the color that was in the sample or not, but this is the color that I cut out, so that's what we get. Okay, and since these are little and I have the pieces here, I'm just going to go ahead and do both of them. All right, that's pretty good. It's got a little stray piece under there. All right, and then we have these little straws. So this is kind of called paper piercing, or paper piecing rather. So I have seen the straws like this going over there, or like this, and I like this way better. So this just gives us a little bit more area to glue. So I'm just going to put a little bit of seal on there and stick it on that way. All right, so we've got both of those ready. And then we've got some little lotions here. So I'm going to do one of each. Now these have little pop-out pieces in them. So I don't know if those are supposed to stay in there or not. I don't think it really much matters. But on the darker, on the Calypso Coral, I actually put adhesive sheets on the back because I remembered, and on these I did not. So we're going to do one of each, I think. We're going to snip this one and put a light cap on a dark bottle. And then we're going to do the opposite for the other one. And we will put a dark cap on this one. Put a little bit of glue on there. Oh, and I guess I didn't need the glue. I forgot that I had put the adhesive sheet on the back of here. So I'm still going to peel that adhesive sheet off just because I don't want that to come off later on my card. So let's just go ahead, we'll rub this off. It'll be fine. So there's that. And we're going to stamp some little sunshine things on here. So here's my sunshine. I'm going to use some strawberry slush. I kept calling this Summer Splash yesterday. I don't know why. Isn't that cute? I think that's just adorable. Which is why this is like my favorite set. Now I could keep these, and if I cut another one, I could just line up the tops. So I may hang on to those, I don't know. So we have these pieces, and I'm gonna move my embossing buddy because I think I'm done embossing. So let's get those things out of our way. And the Versamark out of our way as well. And then let's see what I want to do next. We've got a couple of shells. We've got some fencing pieces. I know, the tote scarf. Who knew there was such a thing as a tote scarf? I certainly didn't. I didn't find out until I was at Onstage. So this is Balmy Blue, and then I'm going to use Lost Lagoon. And we're going to stamp some hibiscus on here. Now, somebody told me that if you stamp off the Lost Lagoon, you get kind of cloud cover, which is the new color. But I think the Secret Sky actually gets us closer to a cloud cover color. And I'm just going to kind of wipe that off because this is kind of grainy looking almost. And, whoa, a little wild here. I'm just going to try to stamp what might look kind of like a flower on this tote scarf. And I think that's really all I have to stamp. So there's not a whole lot of stamping, but there's a lot of pieces to put together. So let's get this back out of the way. And let's bring our card base in. We're going to bring in our little bit of sand here. And we're going to put this with some fence. So we're going to put a piece here and a piece here. And I'm going to probably end up taking my sand down maybe just a little bit, because these pieces then are going to go on here. And I don't know, I might want to kind of distress those with some color maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see. So those will kind of go there. And it's an oceanfront fence, so it's going to be kind of rickety looking, I think. If you've ever been to the ocean and the beaches there that has some random little causeways or piers and stuff, sometimes they're just kind of rickety looking. So this will go there. All right, and if you're just catching up, I'm using the Totes and Notes. This goes live tomorrow. And I think this is my favorite stamp set out of the whole new catalog. All right, so that's going to go there. And then we're going to use our little tote. Now, I cut out 2 of these because you can actually make a 3-dimensional tote out of this. But for purposes of this card, they just use 1. And I might actually want to put 2 on here anyway, so it's kind of 3D-ish. But maybe I should just go with the design. So what we've done here is just, if we follow the design, we'll just cut off these glue strips, because this is where we would put our adhesive. All right, and we'll take this one off. And you can tell because the stitched part of the die doesn't go there, so you know it's not part of the front facing piece. All right, and then this bottom piece is what would make the bottom of the tote if we wanted to make it 3D. This is also going to come off. All right, and I'm going to hang on to that other tote just because that might be something that I use for another project. So then I also have some other pieces that I cut out using those dies. And this is going to make our tote look super cute. And then this will go here. So I think we'll go here. That's what my sample shows. All right, so let's put these pieces on first so that we can kind of get them lined up where we want them to be. In fact, maybe we'll do this. We'll put the handle on so that we can get that centered. I'm only attaching it right at the bottom so that I can put those straps under where the corners are. This is kind of a thin strip. I should have probably considered using adhesive sheets on some of these smaller pieces. All right, so that'll go there. We'll do another piece. And even though this has a lot of little parts to it, I just think it's such a fun set. So we'll tuck that under there. So when you see the catalog go live tomorrow, you can look on page 81 and you will see this card or very close rendition of it. So I'm copying the catalog, which we call casing, as an acronym. So CASE would be copy and share everything, or copy and slightly edit. Excuse me. So I'm going to trim these up just a little bit first, and then we'll glue this down. Isn't that adorable? And I think this would be great too, using like designer series paper that's in a subtle texture kind of look, or embossed with a folder that maybe doesn't have a directional design because those side pieces are supposed to kind of be angled. So there's the purse. And then we're going to put, or the tote rather, we're going to put, I think I like this tote scarf on there. Again, I never knew there was such a thing as a tote scarf, but Becca, who demonstrated this at Onstage, let us all know what a tote scarf was. I think we'll go like that. And then I'm going to put a couple of small, the mini dimensionals under here. I just have to grab a sheet that's got a couple on here. Let's do this way here. I'm going to put this right under here. And we'll take another one. And we'll put it close to this edge so it's sticking to the tote. Okay, and then let's go ahead and put our fence on. So I'm going to put this piece right near the bottom there, and it's just going to go from edge to edge. Some of it's going to be covered anyway, but I think that was about there. And then I'll trim off this little piece here that's hanging over. Might have been able to put that a little bit lower, but too late now, it's already stuck. So we'll just snip both of those off. All right, and then let's put some of these back on, and I'm just gonna lay these out again so I can kind of see where I want them spaced. I could probably just use 5 instead of 6. Because I like them spaced a little further apart. I think I like how that looks. So let's do this one kind of in the middle. And I'm not going to have these exactly straight up and down. I'm not going to have the top edges exactly even either, because the picket fences that I've seen like this when I've been to ocean beaches, they're just kind of rickety looking. It gives a little personality. So you'll have to let me know if you like this set. And hopefully if you order this, or if you're a demo and you have it, you can share pictures with what you've made. Because that's what it's all about. You know, that's why we do this. We like to share what we're making so others get inspired to create as well. All right. So now we're going to put our sand back on here, and I think what I'm going to do is tear this so it's even just a little bit more natural looking. And that's going to go here. And I think my paper shrunk when I wet it down because it's not quite to the sides. But that's going to go on there. Isn't that adorable? Man, that's so cute. I love it. All right, so let's put some glue on here. Whoops. I think that mostly went on my glass mat. So that's going to go all the way down to the bottom of the card-ish. And then I'm just going to kind of spread this out a little bit so it kind of goes to the edge of the card again. I should have made it, now next time I'll know to make it a little bit wider, because when I spritzed that water on it and crinkled it up, I think I made it shrink. All right, so I'm going to put some dimensionals here, and I want to boost up the middle. All right, so I'm going to take these off, and I'm actually going to double up. because I want to make sure that the top of this sets out a little bit. So let's put another one on there. You just have to be careful that when you're doing projects like this, that you don't make them so thick that they're more than 1/4 inch, because then you have to do more postage. So it sounds like my phone is running out of battery, and I don't think, I have to see if I do have a cord here. Give me just a second to plug this in. I should have done, don't want us to run out of power. So I'm going to put this here on the beach. And I could glue down these edges, but I really don't think it's necessary, because they're kind of sitting down where they need to be. All right, so let's go ahead and put our shell on here. Now, silly me, I wasn't paying attention. I have an adhesive sheet on the back of here. So I can just stick this right on here. And then we're going to put our sunscreen or our lotion. Yeah, this is sunscreen, I guess. Suntan lotion. There we go. So we can put this maybe over here. And then we can put our water bottle over here. Oh, and I didn't cut out the starfish. There's a little starfish that can go on here too, but we're going to skip that for tonight. So we're going to put our water bottle on here. I think we'll go up here. And do I want anything else on here? Sunglasses. So we have these adorable little sunglasses. So I did put an adhesive sheet on the back of these, and I used the, let me get it, the textured metallic, I think it is. Yeah, textured metallic specialty designer series paper. This is a continuing item, so you'll still be able to get that. So let's go ahead and put these sunglasses on here as well. So since I put that adhesive on the back of here, these should just sit on here pretty good too. I mean, I could hang them that way and have them like hanging right off the handle, or put them in the sand. The sample shows them in the sand, but I kind of like them hanging on the bag. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hang them on the bag. I can always do a second card with them in the sand, I suppose. And if I can get this peeled off. Oh, actually this I didn't put, I forgot, this is specialty paper, so it's only one-sided. So it is white on the back. I thought I had put adhesive sheets on here. All right, so then this, we're going to put right in here. And we'll put the other lens in as well. And isn't that just adorable? I love it. Now, this little shell comes out. Well, that's kind of fun too. I didn't realize that. That's cut all the way through. So that'll be something to remember for next time too. Could probably maybe put a small dimensional behind there to pop that up. Let's see if that works. Look at that. Isn't that cute? There we go. All right. Some of these things we just do on the fly. All right. So this is our Notes and Totes. Relax and enjoy. Like I said earlier, I think this is my favorite bundle in the catalog, or at least it is until I find a new favorite. So that's all I have for you tonight. The catalog will go live. It might be midnight Pacific time, so we just have an hour or two perhaps to wait. But here's the catalog, excuse me. Here's the catalog that will go live. This is on page 81. When you get your catalog, or if you have it already, if you have a demonstrator, you may have already gotten a catalog. And if you don't have a demonstrator, I would love to be your demonstrator and help you with your creative needs, to share ideas. And if you like a discount, May is a great time to join. Excuse me, because Stampin' Up is having a join bonus that starts tomorrow. So if you want to get a discount on all of your products, you could get 20% off by joining. You get to build your own starter kit. It costs you $99. You do not have to pay shipping. I think you get a paper pumpkin kit. You get some catalogs and business supplies, but that doesn't mean you have to build a business. But for $99, you get to pick out whatever you want from the catalog, from the online exclusives, from the kits collection. You get to pick $165 worth of product. So that's a really good deal. So $165 worth of product, plus paper pumpkin, plus no shipping. You have to pay the tax, but you get all that for $99. And then all of your future orders, you get at 20% off. So some of the people that are on my team, I call them my discount divas, and they just want it to support their hobby, to, you know, either make their dollar go further or to just get a discount on what they purchase. Some are what I call community coaches, where they have just a couple of friends that they get together with and make things. And then some can be business builders. If you wanted to build a business to try to earn an income, that's certainly an option. But if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email is lorimacari@gmail.com. My store is lorimacari.stampinup.net. And I would love to help you get creative. So thanks for stopping by and spending a little time with me. I know everybody's time is really important. And happy stamping. All right. Until next time.